And not only that,
Almost there, almost there.
we can't continue this. We really can't. This is going on and on and on and on.
Well, let's hear what she brings. And if there could be a very short timeline on it, very short.
Hey, Ron.
A condition of
Property that
the
he had, would they
extension
relocate it then from,
is the
Sumay
$50,000
to
payment.
Santa Rita? The
Can't be
storm,
that option.
the last storm?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It damaged the
The landslide,
whole,
right?
The land-
but
Give
there's
them
two
a
houses
timeframe or the
collapsing.
How come?
It's
how come they-
condemned, the
Yeah.
How come they
property
didn't
is
show
condemned.
that
Okay.
on the news?
I don't want,
It's,
I don't want.
the
My
house is
niece
too
was
steep,
there.
that door, the whole, because it's on top of
That's one of the, my niece is renting one of the houses in Santa Rita, and what happened during Typhoon Bobby, the house split in half.
that's the,
It split in half.
How come
it's
that's
a
not in the
greenhouse,
news?
greenhouse, is that the greenhouse?
I think so. Wait, where's
That's
my
right,
son in charge?
okay, here's Bill's house, this is the greenhouse right here, Benito.
Hey, how's it going there? Mr. Miller, you okay, Mr. Miller?
We're live.
We're live, guys,
Okay,
we're
there,
on,
there you go.
we're on.
We're on.
We're gonna get an extension. Commissioner Camacho, may I have the attendant?
The Ross attendant.
So I can write down.
When did the Northern Markets lease actually begin? What year was that? Because
9
this
years ago,
timeline
man.
only shows when stays or extensions were granted.
2013,
I can grant that.
before that?
It had to be before that because in 2013, a 2-year rent stay was granted to them. So something tells me that the lease was consummated even before that. So I'm just curious as to how long, when was this
On the set.
lease done?
It might have been, I think it might have been in 2013 or 2012, 2013, maybe, I'm just guessing. So, let's check.
Before that?
13,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
This was a 13.
December 20th, 2013.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We gotta start the meeting, we're gonna have
Yeah.
discussion.
Oh, we're good? Oh, okay, we're good. We're gonna start.
I thought you heard.
Yeah, no, I thought you were waiting to record on the YouTube. We're good. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna start. Buenas, everybody. This meeting is called to order. This is a GALC special board meeting agenda. And today is Friday, July 31st, 2026. The time is 2:55 p.m. So, Director, roll call,
Yes, sir. Chairman Ronald Ecavea,
present.
Vice Chairman Ronald LaGuardia,
Yeah.
Secretary Treasurer Anita Arlino,
Here.
Commissioner Angela Camacho,
Present.
Commissioner Maria Cruz,
Here.
Commissioner Luisa Westling.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, all members present, you have a quorum.
Okay, I'd like to finish the opening remarks. I didn't finish it. Open to the public in person via Zoom and live streamed on YouTube at Guam Ancestral Lands Commission, the GALC channel. Public notice was published in the Guam Daily Post and PDN on Friday, July 24th and Wednesday, July 29th, 2026, and posted in the Government of Guam Public Notice Portal and the GALC website. So let's move down to item 3, content updates.
Yes, sir. I communicated with Gita as well as Guam Housing. Unfortunately, both agencies are unable to assist us with accounting services due to they are currently short of staff in both agencies. I communicated with the Department of Administration regarding an accountant, hiring an accountant. I sent several messages to Mr. Byrne. The latest message I sent Mr. Byrne was just about an hour ago, asking him again if we could sit down and maybe have an appointment with him. I tried communicating via telephone, left several messages, nothing, but I did email him asking him, telling him of our situation. I also informed him about the OPA coming and meeting with us on our June 19th meeting and his recommendations. I asked if he is willing to assign an accountant strictly for GALC matters, or if he can assign an accountant to us to come and assist us in preparing the reports for the auditors. And my third was I requested if he is unable to assist us by assigning an accountant to us, if he would be willing to give us access to the GFMIS system so that we can obtain the reports that they need on our own. So I'm waiting for his response. So currently, that is the status of the accountant update. Yes, ma'am.
I want to make a correction. Guam Housing, correct? Guam Housing is short-staffed at the moment. It's correct that Guam Housing is unable to provide assistance at the moment, but in a couple of weeks, we're bringing on another accountant, and we were just asked if we could let them catch up with their work, and then they could send somebody over. It's probably a month down the road, maybe, but that's a possibility. And then I also gave you, I think we need to acquire an accounting software.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that?
Yes, we have that with us, but I need to, I'm working with EY accountant. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm currently working with EY accountant and requesting them, what is it exactly they require from us so that we can inform the vendor for our accounting software on what we need our software to produce for us so that they can tailor the software to our agency. Because if we don't need all the bells and whistles that come with the accounting software, and we only need a couple of things, then that's all that we would need. So I'm working with EY on that, Miss Danielle. Yes.
Interesting.
Okay, to recap, what you were saying, can you just recap it again one more time?
So today, Guam Housing is short-staffed.
Yeah.
But in 2 weeks, I understand, they'll be picking up an additional accountant.
Oh, okay,
Then they were just asked if they could catch up on work,
okay.
and then they can lend us an accountant.
Oh, okay. So we still have that option on the
Yeah,
table.
but
Okay.
it's kind of down the road. I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's 3 or 4 weeks.
Or what, yeah, okay. It's good to know though. Any other questions for our director's report on that? No other questions? I know something's coming up, something's gonna come up very shortly.
Would it take a little bit more time to, get that software to narrow it down into what we need? Or maybe just get what is out there and you don't have to use those other items,
Bells and
whenever they
whistles,
produce a
according to our
report.
director, the bells and whistles stuff. Angie, Commissioner Machi?
Oh, yeah.
We spoke,
Oh, sorry.
Hold on. So it's my opinion that we just get quotes, that we just research what's out there and how much is it gonna cost? It may not be, we may be able to afford something
Yeah.
that's on the market, like you say. So tailoring it, I don't know if we have time for that. I think we just need to find something that is suitable and affordable.
Okay. Director?
The accounting software that is being used by both Guam Housing and GITA is called MIT accounting software. We reached out to MIT accounting software, and the reason why we reached out to MIT accounting software is because some of the accountants are saying that QuickBooks is not a very
It's not feasible.
feasible for a government, an agency such as ours. Now, I reached out to MIT accounting, and they want to know exactly what is it we need our system to do for us so they can better quote us. So if we don't need the system, for example, we need the system to produce general ledgers, then that system will produce general ledgers. We need that system to be able to record our, be able to do bank reconciliations. We need that system to also do trial balances, has to maintain our encumbrances. It has to, there are other accounting reports that the auditors requested from us. It needs to maintain an aging schedule. So those are the things that I would like MIT to quote us. This is all we need. According to Danielle, this is what we need our system to do for us. But I also have to work with the accounting office of the Department of Administration to see what they maintain for us. Because remember that every year after our audit, we reimburse the Department of Administration for the amount of money that we use. So we need to know what their system is tracking, so we can also track the same thing that they're tracking. Otherwise, we won't be able to reconcile. We won't be able to reconcile. We need to also maintain the same ledgers as what Department of Administration is maintaining for us. Now, the bank reconciliation, that's something that we only need, because Department of Administration does not do our deposits. We handle our own deposits. So those are the things that I have to do. So right now, that's where I'm at. I am waiting to get more information from the Department of Administration on what they maintain for us, so that I can take that information, put it together with the information or the reports that are requested by our auditors, and we can merge it and then let MIT know, this is everything we need the system to do for us. So then they'll give us a module and they'll give us the specifications for what we need, and we can use those specifications and the modules so that we can go to the next person and get another quote.
So when is your last communication with them?
With Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
This, about an hour ago.
It's an hour ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you ask him how long it may take to come up with that module?
I have not been able to speak with Mr. Byrne personally, because he's been how do I say it? Been his presence has been requested at the legislature for the last 2 weeks, I believe, because of the budget hearings. Yes,
I have a
ma'am.
question. So in the past, we used QuickBooks
Mhm.
and then also AS400, right?
Yes.
They didn't merge. So why can't we just get a system and use DOA's data? Why does it have to, why do we need to rely on DOA to tell us what reports? Why can't we just do it the way we've been doing it in the past, just using the some kind of accounting software?
We don't have access to their reports with their new system. Before, when we had AS400, I can sit on my desktop and I can tell AS400 to give me an encumbrance report for FY 2025, for example. This is the year that we're getting audited. And AS400 will produce that report for me. With the GFMIS, I cannot tell that system to give me that report, because Department of Administration reserves that security access to only their employees. So in my request to Mr. Byrne, I'm also asking him to give us that access so that I can get the report. I don't need them to, because it's been challenging. We ask for the report that we need, but they have not submitted the reports to us. And so if I had access to that system, I'll be able to pull that report. And and then we have our own reports that Joey used to do. I helped Joey for the last, since I've been here, the last 3 years, 3.5 years, I've helped Joey with the audits. Unfortunately, as soon as DOA switched in 2024, it has been a challenge. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Did you, upon your discussion with, Ed Burns, did you inform him that time is of essence and that we are the only agency that's holding back on the release of the audit?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I spoke to one of his accountants because when I wasn't getting a response from Mr. Byrne because of how busy he was, I went on ahead and I called accounting office and I asked one of the accounting supervisors the question, and she informed me that Mr. Byrne was at a hearing along with the OPA, and at that hearing, the OPA did express to Mr. Byrne how he needs to help us get these reports out because of the government-wide audit.
Very well.
That's all.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
no further questions? Do we need to put it on the next agenda as well to catch up? You might have some other information or?
Yes, on our next regular agenda, I will do the
Okay.
accounting update.
Do a report.
Okay,
Yes.
so add it to the next.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Camacho.
I think by the next time we meet, I should have
Oh, okay.
a timeline from Guam Housing as to when an accountant can come over. But Kathy, you need to figure out your accounting, how you're gonna handle that, because what are they gonna do on Excel, or how are they gonna do it when they come down and when they're ready? What are they gonna use?
That is, the issue also is that today is the deadline to submit requisitions. If I'm gonna procure the accounting system, I would have to wait until after October 1st. So even if the board approved me to purchase the accounting system, I will not be able to until next fiscal year because they will close the window already.
What if we approve, I don't know, can we approve this and then you have to get 3 quotes still? What's
Yes.
the? mm,
Yes, ma'am. We have to obtain 3 quotes,
At least 2.
3 positive quotes. So if a positive quote can also be that a vendor says that they don't have what they're, yes, unable to provide, that as a positive quote.
Response.
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you for that report, Ken.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Director. Okay, we're gonna move down to item 4, Northern Market response. They gave us a response. Did everybody get a chance to review the response? Okay. So I believe that Commissioner Bruce requested a timeline. The timeline of the first approval of the agreement with Northern Market. And so that everybody should have that timeline?
Is this it?
Yeah. Also, there's some clarification, I guess, that we need to do with regard to the name Northgate Marketplace and Northern Market. Some of the board members kind of like had So can we clarify that real quick, if that's possible, or do we need to? Or is the board members, okay with, there's some people that, some of us have a little bit of, need clarification on.
Well,
most
Mr.
of all-
Chairman, and Ms. Calvo can correct me, the entity that you're doing business with remains Northern Market LLC. Northern Market in turn seeks to build a shopping center, which they're going to call apparently Northgate Marketplace.
Okay, yeah,
But you're continuing to do business
okay,
with the same entity you've always done business with.
okay, I forgot who brought up that, Commissioner Cruz, I believe this, okay, so that answers it, it's,
That would be the
right.
click sign like
Yeah,
Donkey,
Yes.
Donkey
yeah, that's.
Yes.
So the lease is with Northern
Market.
Market
Markets,
LLC.
Yes.
And the name of the place,
Yeah.
the project is
But
Northgate
they have not,
Marketplace. Yeah.
it's not completed yet. That will be the name, Northgate Marketplace.
Anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Anticipated.
anticipation, but
Okay.
not,
It-
in-
yeah.
it's
It
not
just
a
confused,
reality yet,
confused some of
right?
the board
You
members.
know, so they should
So it's still
remain-
Northern,
Yeah,
it's still Northern
Northern
Market LLC.
Because look at this letterhead is, and I'm looking, what is
Yeah.
the difference? Right? Until reality, until it's up there and it's up and running, they should pull the banner off and Northgate Marketplace.
but I think we should address their request, right? That's what we're meeting here.
Yes.
Yeah.
To address their request.
Yeah, and
And
then Mary,
requesting for an additional extension. And
yeah,
through, based on the matters with the way I see with the economy, you know, and then closing of businesses, unlikely to be that particular type of investment. So maybe we can have them propose a diversified type of approach of commercial, keeping it commercial, but maybe allowing them to look at other means of using it other than commercial strip malls, right? That's what they intended. So,
Rather than have them keep on coming back and
Yeah,
coming back,
because-
and then it, as long as as long as the
Yeah.
entity is still commercial, right?
right, because they're, remember, they're market, they're looking at, in order to receive payment, they would have at least 50% of those the lessees be within their commercial strip malls, but I think now the viability of that is very unlikely. That's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm saying.
Proposing to diversify?
No, what
The
is-
one year you request for 50,000
Oh, yeah,
as
yeah.
a
Oh.
project project?
Oh, yeah, Joey, sorry about
What is
that.
it doing to us? Are they requesting to diversify, or are we suggesting?
I was thinking for them, maybe you could give them another option, you know?
Well, if we go back to the response,
Yeah,
and
Right.
maybe our legal counsel, I was reading it, kind of like falls in line with our last agreement. It doesn't look like they're asking for anything that's not within the agreement that's within the agreement. It's all legal in there, but our legal counsel can clarify it. The way I was reading it, it's all within our last agreement.
Well, Mr. Chairman, members, the agreement we have with Northern Markets includes a date by which it was either go or no go. They were either going to be developing or the whole deal was going to be off. In the last communication prior to their June 26th letter, Northern Markets had indicated that they were continuing to work through the permitting process, that Guam EPA had given them a new issue that they needed to work through. Their engineers had worked through it and developed a solution, and that solution had to be reviewed and approved by Guam EPA. Once Guam EPA, and Ms. Calvo can jump in here place and
I'll
correct
let
the
you finish.
timeline.
Mhm.
Once Guam EPA approved that particular solution, then they would have all the individual agency approvals in order, and at that point, should be ready to get their building permit. And that's where we were last meeting, and that in order to keep Ancestral Lands contract lease agreement with Northern Markets in full force and effect, they wanted some extra time on exactly when construction needed to be started. And where we left off was a suggestion, a request from the commission to Northern Markets to put some money on the table, to, I guess, prepay some rent, to put it in sort of lawyer terms, as a condition of the grant of the extension. And Northern Markets agreed to consider that proposal amongst their development teams. They did consider that proposal, and you got the June 26th letter.
Right.
And Ms. Calvo, if I've misstated the sequence of events here, by all means, please correct me.
Right, no, that's correct. I think just to clarify a little bit on the, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for
One
having me.
second, Ms. Calvo, we just can't hear you. We need to get you a little louder on our, can you, yeah, we can't hear her.
Oh, I wanted to make sure.
One second.
Okay.
Joey.
Mute. Oh, yep.
Joey.
All right, Ms. Calvo, the floor is yours.
There's a little bit of feedback, but you just let me know if, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here this afternoon and giving me the opportunity to further explain the letter that we submitted on June 26th, and then also respond to the request at the last meeting regarding the payment of a $50,000 extension fee in connection with our request to extend the lease termination date that's stated in the Second Amendment. So as Attorney Miller explained, and as I also explained in our letter, we did request basically to trigger to invoke the provision of the Second Amendment of the lease, which we negotiated and executed last year. Under that provision of the Second Amendment, the commission gave Northern Market the opportunity to extend the lease in the event that there was a delay in permitting or any kind of unforeseen government delay that we encountered in the process of getting our permit. So as AG Miller explained, we did renew our permit application, which I know there was some conversation before the meeting started about, the actual date. So as you all recall, I think this lease was executed in December 2013. Our building permit application was from 2014. So when we got the commission's approval to proceed under the Second Amendment, we renewed our permit application, got a new permit application number, and then proceeded to get all the government agency clearances in order to get the building permit finally. We did encounter a few delays. One, I think with the Department of Agriculture, there was a biological survey required. So we did pay about $20,000 to get that survey done, and thankfully there were no issues raised. The last clearance that we needed was from the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. GIPA, because of the timeline, advised us that there were some new drainage rules and regulations that were enacted since the time we got our original clearance from them back probably in 2014 or sometime around there. So in order to comply with that, we met with our engineers to see what was required in order to comply with the new drainage rules and regulations. There were some plans that had to be modified, and then, you know, some elevations that needed to be studied in order to confirm compliance, which we would then submit to GIPA in order to get their clearance. The price tag for that additional work was $58,000. And then, of course, after we get that clearance from GIPA and go to DPW to get our permit, it's about $21,000, I think, was the final payment that we need to make. So before we proceeded with making that additional investment in the project, I came back to the commission to ask and confirm that the lease termination date in the Second Amendment could be extended to give us the additional time to get the GIPA clearance and the building permit. So this is all kind of contemplated and permitted under the Second Amendment, and basically based on the language that I quoted in the June 26 letter, that this is something in the course of it's an unforeseen government delay that's beyond our control, that the commission would extend the lease termination date to allow us to get the permit, and that approval would not be unreasonably withheld. So that was the last request that we submitted. Of course, at the last meeting, as AG Miller mentioned, there was a request for a payment in connection with that. So in our response, I did go back to our group and discuss that, but, you know, because this is clearly authorized under the Second Amendment, and because it really kind of jeopardized the additional $50,000 payment would kind of jeopardize the project and the additional payments that we have to make for the engineering work, and then also for the final clearance. We're requesting that payment be, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, what was the first cost again? And what's the description for that from GEPA? That was 50,000, 51,000?
Well, that's the engineering work. So it's about 58,000 to do the engineering work to
So
just,
that's the engineering work, okay?
yes,
And you didn't pay that yet, right?
we have not. We would like to confirm that the lease
And the
term,
second one was 21,000?
yes, it's about 21,000. That's the
I'm
DPW
sorry, I
payment.
can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's 21,000 for DPW to get the actual building permit after we've obtained all the clearances.
Okay, and in essence, you were saying you needed the extension before you paid that. If you got the extension, then you would go ahead with that.
Correct. If we get the
Okay.
extension, we'll proceed with that. So I mean, that was just kind of reiterating our position,
Okay.
that this is permitted under the Second Amendment, and then also, you know, confirming with our group that we're not able to make the additional $50,000, which is not required under the Second Amendment to the lease. And I also look back at the lease agreement as well. There is a provision in there about the tenant's payment of administrative or, you know, any other kind of reasonable fees associated with an extension, but that amount is capped at $5,000. So in this circumstance, we're being requested to pay kind of 10 times what's permitted under the contract. I'm sorry, you're muted. You're still on mute.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Calvo. Can we get some board questions? Is it unreasonable what they're asking for?
Question.
Okay, Commissioner Cruz?
On your letter, second page, second paragraph, this additional scope of work was entirely unforeseen. And then, okay, and that you plan to engage doing this in Camacho, so just to complete the required analysis at the cost of $58,554 with an estimated timeline of 3 months. Have you already engaged, or is there already a commitment on this? Or is it just probable that you are going to engage with doing this? Camacho, especially because my concern is that if they don't agree, you come back again with another request to extend. So we want to find out, we want to kind of close the loopholes on what's going to, you know, no more reasons to do another extension. Because this lease initially was December 2013. And it's already July 31st, 2026. That's a long time ago.
Right, so the question is if the third amendment is approved and we get the extension of the lease termination date, whether we're proceeding with DCA to do the work? Is that correct? Yes,
She's
yes,
asking if
we
that's
are,
correct.
right,
So
so,
my question is that, have you already engaged with Doinets and Camacho to complete the required Doinets analysis? Have you already done that? Have they committed to doing that? Because if you're saying that you plan to, and there's no guarantee that they are going to do it at that cost, so I'm just want to know what's the, is it going to go through? What do you think? I mean,
well, yes, they did provide a proposal.
they've already done it.
So, right, so they did analyze the plans to determine the scope of
They
work.
have,
So that's
okay.
the basis of their proposal. So if we are given the additional time and a third amendment to the lease is executed, then we will proceed because we need that in order to get the GIPA clearance, which would then allow us to get the permit.
I have another question. Is this 3 months? Is it 3 months? Okay, I'm just afraid you might come back for another extension with no kind of any down payment. So all we're asking is $50,000 to at least get it applied towards your future rent. That's to
Right,
me, because of the duration of time, I don't think we're asking something unreasonable.
right. Well,
$50,000. To
I
me,
guess,
it will be, I'm going to suggest to the commissioners that there will be this condition as the basis of the extension, as a condition of the extension. We're gonna have to ask this time around. We have been asking every time you ask for an extension, we did bring in, a request to make a down payment towards rent. I mean, this is nothing new.
right. And with all due respect, Commissioner Cruz, I mean, I understand that you're requesting the payment, but basically what I explained in the letter is that when we executed the Second Amendment, which if you all may recall, we went back and forth extensively on the terms, kind of the plan going forward with the construction deferment period, also getting the permit, which, as you all may know, is not a simple process nowadays with, with various delays and just kind of working in with construction and engineers. But with all due respect, that's not required under the Second Amendment. And that's in the letter, I've kind of explained that, we're asking for something that was already authorized under the Second Amendment, just basically an extension of time of the lease termination date based on a government delay that was unforeseen, which is a SKIPA requirement. There's no fee that's attached to that. So if we're kind of going outside of the lease contract,
Yeah, that's why I'm asking if it's unreasonable because there's delays in it. I mean, if it's not reasonable and then they're asking for an extension, I mean, what if there's another delay beyond their control? And then we're just going to okay, it wasn't their fault. That's why as a body, we need to decide if that is, reasonable. I'm being honest, for me, it sounds reasonable because that was an unforeseen delay. And if there's another extension comes up and it happened to be something beyond their control, we need to look at it seriously, not just go in there and say, well, this and that. If it's beyond their control and right now they're showing good faith that they want to develop this project. So if it's not feasible, or if it doesn't look like there's a good reason to extend, then we can say, hey, that's unreasonable. But we need to look at this and see if it's reasonable beyond their control. And I think it is. That's how when I'm reading it. And somebody correct me if it's not.
To my understanding, as she was saying,
Yeah, on mute.
to my understanding, what
Jennifer was trying to say, that the request of 50,000 that you made is impossible because of the second amendment that they have. It's already in there that they could only pay up to 5,000, a cap set forth. And they're looking at it that it is really the justification, the modification, that's too far to pay the.
I don't think she's saying it's
50,000.
impossible. I think she's saying that it's not within the agreement of the agreement lease. It's not that it's impossible, it's that it's not within the lease agreement that we gave them, the extension.
It exceeds from the second amendment.
Yeah.
They only have up to 5,000 the cap. And that's about what, 10 times
Yeah, so we're
more?
going beyond the
That's what
agreement.
she's
She's
trying to
saying we're
say.
going beyond, that's why our legal counsel.
Is that right,
is
Miss
here to
Jennifer?
Clarify on that, but are we going beyond that or, beyond the agreement? Okay,
That's what
Commissioner
she's
Camacho.
saying.
Can we refer to our own legal counsel?
It
Yeah.
says there on the page that they're guiding themselves on the second amendment. Right?
Well, Mr. Chairman, members,
It's on mute, I'm sorry, she won't be.
It's beyond mute.
Mr. Chairman, members, everybody's gonna have their own interpretation of what is reasonable. I think everybody understands if you choose not to give, Northern Markets the extension, I think everybody understands the consequences of that. And so you've asked, for the $50,000, you have an explanation from Northern Markets why they have declined that opportunity. It's probably unlikely that if you ask again, they're gonna change their mind. And so y'all just, have to make a decision whether you're want this particular project to go forward on these particular terms or not.
But how is it an interpretation regarding the stipulations of the agreement and is it on the second amendment? Is it, what is it? Yeah,
Second amendment.
yeah, how is it
Now they're
a
asking
matter
for a
of
third.
an interpretation on our individual
Well,
interpretation?
I guess the specific legal question would be whether it is reasonable to condition the extension, another extension on the payment of $50,000. Everybody, reasonable is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And so you all have to decide for
Well,
yourself.
for me, it's reasonable, the 50,000, but I'm talking about their delay of why they're asking for I'm talking about the GEPA delay.
And
That's what I'm saying is that,
again,
yeah, is that, to me, it's reasonable that they're asking for a delay because there's more,
It's beyond their.
it's beyond their control. Yeah, and it's delaying we gave them a timeline. This new information delays it. They're not gonna meet it.
absolutely, that I have no reason to doubt that Northern Markets hasn't been, trying to move through the process as diligently as they possibly can. But it's up for you all to decide for yourselves whether you think they're doing everything they can to get this
Roger, whatever.
GEPA issue behind them and ultimately to get the building permit in hand.
I'd like to also, just for the record, we went through it before, the issues and the ramifications of what's happening right now with this lease. But of course, the board members decide, and however the board decides is what we got to go by. But from what I understand is that if let's say we terminate this agreement and we put it out again, the information they have with the permitting, they have to start all over again. Now, if That's what I understood, and actually Gita confirmed that. So that's another 2 years, 3 years process with the whole thing, or maybe 5 years is what these guys went through. Are we going to go? I mean, here we got, definitely we know it's the Calvos, Carlos Camacho. I mean, these guys are reputable developers. If they can't do it, it's gonna be tough for somebody else to just come in and easily do it. But we're dealing with terminating and then restarting the whole permitting process if we do get, and then right now it is a soft market out there. And if we get another developer to come in and give us another proposal, they're gonna have to go through the whole permitting process again with the delays at SHPO and wherever. So the board has to really take a good look at that and see if we are, if it's proper for us to, are we doing justice to the trust by terminating this
I am
lease?
not saying not to deny the extension. I'm saying it's reasonable to ask for a $50,000 down payment to be applied. I mean, it's only gonna go towards their arrears.
And they made it clear,
That's what
they made it clear on this response letter because of the Second Amendment that we follow the amendment. It's reasonable. That's what they're saying right now,
That's what I'm trying to say.
that they're not gonna pay.
That's what they're guiding themselves on the Second
That the
Amendment.
Second Amendment,
only
we
says-
are,
They're in
we are,
compliance.
we made an agreement on the Second Amendment. We're moving out of the Second Amendment by that suggestion of them paying $50,000.
The Second Amendment. But the money is only up to $5,000. That's what they're fighting.
So that's outside of the agreement. They could, if they, a good faith method, but they're saying they don't have to. Because it's within that agreement we have. So that's why we have to determine, our interpretation. Is it reasonable what they're asking for? And it looks like it is to me. I don't know to the rest of you. It looks very reasonable. It's beyond their control. Vice Chair.
Yeah, I am in agreement with you, Mr. Chair. Turning back and would only give us at a loss. The market out there is not there, so I've been curious about anybody investing in our, if we terminate this as some other investors coming in. I'm not sure about that, but
Mary, are you looking at the total arrears at Northern Market, right? And you're requesting maybe the 50 grand would offset a little bit of their arrears? I mean, I feel that way, right?
I think it's beyond that already. They made it clear.
yeah.
It's
No,
on,
but-
we had an agreement on the Second
I
Amendment.
know,
Yeah.
but I'm backing her up to saying that.
No, of course, I would love it. I mean, even beyond 50,
And
I'd
that
love
will
it. If they could
offset
put $1
their-
million, $2 million, of course, I'm happy. I'd love it. So that's,
Business is business, and they're guiding
Yeah.
themselves on the Second
now,
Amendment.
now for me,
that allows them.
if they came up, 3-4 months from now with another legitimate reason and it's legit, I'm for it. I'm just, if it's not legit, I'm not for it. If it's legit, it's beyond their control, I'm for it. Otherwise, we have to deal with the same issues we just brought up with right now.
Again,
Chairman, if I'm-
I'm not saying not to, I mean, I'm all for the extension. It's reasonable, but it's also reasonable for us to have some kind of payment on their risk. I mean, they're all over $2 million up to date.
If it's within the scope of the agreement we
Yeah.
gave them. But right now, it's within, what they're asking for is within the agreement we signed with them.
Yeah, based on the revenue projections that will be, the payments are based on the tenants conducting businesses with the start. And I think that's how I understand this. That's how they'll generate that revenue from those strip malls, right? Commercial malls that they're talking about. And that's how they would get those monies. But at the time right now, I don't think it's not getting any monies from there. That's how I see this, so, and they're still in the terms of their lease. They didn't say anything about the 50 grand. But I'm just saying, we can't, I don't know. To terminate is gonna, we're gonna take that loss.
We understand she's saying not to terminate. She was just, I don't blame you. I'm for it too. If it's within the scope of what we last agreed upon, but the last agreeing, the Second Amendment, it's what they're showing me and it's what we agreed to is reasonable. But Ms. Calvo, you have a,
Yes, I just wanted to add to address what appears to be Commissioner Cruz's concern about, the consideration for the additional time. Like you mentioned, this is kind of a short delay of 5 months requested because of the permit and the clearances. However, when we did execute the Second Amendment, or before we executed the Second Amendment, there was consideration given, and this was kind of the more of the long-term vision for this, was that we actually restructured the rent obligation under the lease in connection with the Second Amendment and the construction provisions, so that we added, I mean, of course, we're paying back the entire arrears, but there's also a significant increase to the percentage rent provision. So if Commissioner Cruz is concerned about, the $50,000 as consideration or good faith to show that we're continuing the project, I think that has already happened in the Second Amendment. We clearly added a significant amount of percentage rent with I think we actually set a minimum in addition to the ground rent that would be paid. So as far, the Second Amendment was not just us asking for additional time, but we did restructure, and we worked closely with the commission and with GITA to kind of look at, okay, let's figure out the percentage rent, and that would of course be, after of the NOI, and work through those definitions within the structure of the original lease. But if there's concerns now about the consideration given for this additional time from last year to the present, plus the additional 5 months, that is kind of a long-term vision that was already addressed in the Second Amendment when we agreed to, I think it was at least double the percentage rent, which we significantly increased to compensate for this additional time. And of course, to, again, kind of thank the commission for giving us the deferment during the construction period to really get this going, as we all acknowledge in a soft market that is just, there's so many challenges. So there is that there is that additional consideration or that compensation that we're making, albeit at the end of, the construction period, like Vice Chair mentioned, when we actually start to, when we have the tenants and get the rental income, the arrears will be paid, number one, but on top of the arrears and the ground rent, there will be additional rent that's being paid to the commission for the duration of the lease.
thank you for that. I think Commissioner Cruz, let's take a look at the second. Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Camacho?
This issue comes up year after year on our audit report. And I'd like to ask the director to bring up how this reflects in the audit report. So at least with Commissioner Cruz's suggestion, it shows that we're trying to do something to bring that number down.
Yes.
So if the director could just talk about how this reflects in our audit.
Let me grant the honor.
But in the meantime, I think Commissioner.
Okay,
Wilson has-
sorry, Commissioner Wilson, thank you.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Westland speaking, and, there is much for the board to have to consider, in this matter, okay? This project, this lease, from what I can see, is now in its 13th year, with an extraordinary amount of deferred rent that is outstanding and due to the commission. Because of the consideration that the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission gave to Northern Market over the years, when times were tough for Northern Market, and to help them along. And this help from the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission has continued to this present day, of where it seems like we are the ones, in my opinion, who are always asked to be understanding of their situation, and which we have to a point now where, as I said, the deferred rent that's due is in the millions of dollars now. And it seems that, with every extension that was granted, that we had hope. Okay, because of what was represented by Northern Market, that if we gave that extension, that they would able to complete A, B, and C. But it seems every 6 months, another request comes for another reason. And while I understand for the current reason, that GICA requested something that, wasn't quote, expected as far as updating the report required by them to comply with updated regulatory requirements. As developers would be aware, okay, of what government agencies may require due to changes in the law way in advance, and know with what they would have to do. And for myself, we talk about in the of both parties wanting to see success in the future. Good faith efforts are very important. And parties to a lease agreement can, if they mutually agree, change the terms. Okay, change the terms. That is an option, okay,
Right.
that can be done. But to me, it would have made me feel a little better in coming to today's meeting. If I had been told that, as Commissioner Cruz had asked Attorney Calvo as to whether or not they had already consummated and made a payment and the, with Duenas and Camacho to get started on this to comply with the new regulations for GIFA. Okay, if I had heard that they had already made the payment, they had already signed the contract with them, and they were doing it in spite of them not having the extension from us, that would have really spoke volumes to me as far as their good faith intentions. Okay, but instead, we're told here basically, we got the quotes, we've talked to them, but we're not gonna proceed until you give us that extension.
So wait, so you're saying
Okay.
that they should have?
No, I'm
Committed
talking about
with-
good faith.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay,
saying, you're
good
saying they
faith.
should could have committed with Macho and Associates, not knowing whether or not we're going to actually approve their extension, but they should have just went and,
It was within.
no, that's what I'm, no, that's what I'm
It was
saying.
within the
That's what I'm
extension
asking. That's what I'm
period.
asking.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
okay, Attorney Miller, it was within their extension period to get this thing done, okay? Now, whether or not Duenas and Camacho could get the work done, okay, in time, before, the deadline, then they could have come to us at that.
But they
point
could have
and
gone
said,
both ways. They could have said, no, let me get the extension first before I commit to,
which
before I
is-
commit
I'm
to.
talking about their
Yeah.
good faith intentions of commitment. Because right now I'm feeling like, okay, we're not gonna move forward unless you give us an extension, whereas it just seems like we've given so much over the years, okay? And I'm just at this point, based on, what I'm seeing, that I don't doubt another request is gonna come in again, and this is gonna continue and continue and continue.
So are you, but based on who they are, you're saying it's questionable that they're able to do this based on see, for me, their track record and who they are makes the difference on my decision. But these guys are not, these are not little leaguers.
Yeah.
These guys are big time players. So I'm looking at their reputation that they can pull this off.
They can pay off the.
That has a big factor in everything. I'm sorry, sir, she still has the
Put it
floor.
on.
I'm sorry, you still have the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, again, this is a matter I feel that the board should not just lightly make a decision on. I, for one, will need a little bit more time to consider this request. And right now, I'm just not confident that this continual request for extensions will stop.
If it's not legitimate, if it's legitimate, if it's not legitimate, I agree with you 1,000%.
Okay,
But if it's not, if it's not legitimate,
As I
yeah.
said, okay, when they found out, which I don't, in February, that was February, Attorney, Calvo, when did you get this, estimate from, Duenas and Camacho or you what the cost was going to be now?
That was in February.
That was in February, okay, so this is, we're in August, so that's basically what, six months went by.
Yeah.
6 months went by, they had the costs, they knew what was gonna do, what they had to do. But it's just sat there until they came in June to ask for an extension, so 6 months went by, time lost again. Whereas to me, if
I'm sorry. Oh, I just have one. We actually asked for the extension in March. So there was a meeting in January. I did, at which point we found out, I think a day, if not two, before from GIPA. We had been waiting. We submitted the permit application in September of last year. We didn't hear anything. We followed up repeatedly a day or two before the January meeting. And of course, I don't believe there were any commission meetings, I believe, towards the latter part of last year for like 4 months. However, in January, before the commission meeting, we did find out from GIPA, and Attorney Miller also mentioned this during the meeting, was that there were these additional requirements. So the day following the commission meeting, we contacted DCA to find out what these additional regulations were, what was required in order to get the clearance. Then I wrote a letter to the commission in March. I believe the commission did not meet again until June. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know there were a few months that we did not meet. And then again, we met in June. I updated the request from my March letter. At that point, we were requested to pay the $50,000 extension fee. And then I met with our group and then sent our response. That was June 9th in preparation for this next meeting. So I understand the history of delays. I think, it predated my involvement in this project. However, I have to just say that the characterization of us sitting on the DCA proposal from February is I think kind of unfounded. And I think as Chairman Eklevin mentioned that, the expectation that we go forward with the $58,000 payment for engineering work for a lease that may actually be terminated. And then we have full clearances on a permit application, a terminated lease, and basically just a bunch of clearances for a permit we're never going to use, which we've already invested, I think probably close to $200,000 for the permit when we get it. So, I would just like to raise that point that, if there was some clarity about, or, some kind of indication that we would be granted the extension, then we absolutely would have moved forward. But I think to have this expectation that we're going to pay $58,000 for engineering work just to say that we got all the government clearances, but now our lease is terminated, and there's basically no value in that. And I think that's what we mentioned during the last meeting. And I believe that Gita kind of agreed that, this is a critical stage in the permitting. We're very close. But of course, as Attorney Miller mentioned, it's up to the commission at this point. If you decide that you've had enough, that you're tired of all these delays, that you want to terminate the lease and move forward and put it out to bid and see who else, is willing to step up and start the permitting process, then, by all means, you're free to do that. What I'm requesting for, since we have been requesting, I think, since March, and it's finally before the commission again with the additional request for the 50,000, is that we just be allowed to complete this stage, to get the permit and finally move forward, because that's tremendous value to this project. Obviously, is having a building permit, which, as you all may know, is not a simple thing to get for a project of this magnitude with all the infrastructure that we're doing. So I just wanted to clarify the timeline, without allocating any blame to anyone, but, there have been significant lapses in the meetings. So we've been waiting for guidance from the commission before we proceed. Because, in this market, $50,000, whatever it's going to, I mean, that's a huge expense. And especially if it's going towards something that we can use, definitely we would move forward. But I mean, to have the expectation that we would pay that without knowing whether our lease is terminated, and I mean, just to pay it and show good faith. Like I said, we did restructure the rent obligation when we did the second amendment, which I think was a huge showing of good faith and appreciation for the commission to reward you for your patience and kind of being our partner in moving this forward. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that as far as the timeline on the permitting, because we did sit down with DCA and go through what was required, and to get the price on that, so that when we do get the extension, we're ready to move forward.
And how quickly should the commission grant this current request for extension? How soon will you enter into the contract with Duenas Camacho and begin on that?
Right. Well, first, Commissioner Westling, I worked with Attorney Miller, and I think it's pretty straightforward. It would be a third amendment to the lease between the commission and Northern Market. So we would get that hopefully by the next meeting, if we're meeting next month, finalize the third amendment, get all the signatures, and as soon as that's in place, then, and of course, we'll let DCA know ahead of time that we intend to move forward. But like I said, we did sit down with them, identified what actual work is required in order to, comply with the updated drainage rules and regulations. So immediately after, I think we signed the third amendment, and I think that's why I put in a 3-month timeline, because that was what I confirmed with them would be the estimated time for the work. And then we added 2 months to get the DPW clearance. I can, maybe try and get information to see if that's a realistic.
I understood the 5 months, 3 months for Duenas and Camacho to finish their report, and then another 2 months for Giba's review and whatnot. But my question was, how soon after, if the commission grants the extension, will Duenas and Camacho be engaged? Are we talking, immediately, a couple of days after you get the extension, or is it going to be another 30 days before they'll even start work, or what?
It can be, I mean, I can actually reach out to them after this meeting and see. We did get the proposal, like I said, back in February. So I can assess their workload and see if they're still committed to that same timeline.
Okay.
But as far as you engaging with them with actually giving them the funds to start that particular engagement, you can present to the board after we give you the approval.
Right. So when we're drafting the third amendment, I mean, assuming this gets approved today, I'll talk to DCA on Monday and see, what the payment terms are. And that way I can give the board a more clear timeline of how that moves forward with DCA after the third amendment is executed.
Sorry, Commissioner Wilson.
No, I don't have any other questions at this time or statements. Thank you, Attorney Calvo, for your explanation of the timeline. But again, this is still something that I think the commission really needs to
Really, I
think
think
hardly on. But
it's a
that's-
no-brainer. I'm just
Yeah.
being honest. To me, it's a no-brainer.
This is me.
Yeah. Okay.
This is me.
Understood.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
you,
Got it.
Chairman, but I'm saying
Understood.
myself.
Okay. Commissioner Camacho.
I'm just not sure why we have to wait for the actual third amendment for them to engage with DCA. couldn't we just handshake it with an approval and you move forward with DCA?
She
And
has a good
that's
point.
perhaps good faith.
She has a good point. Ms. Calvo?
Followed by the.
I mean, I think if there's a proper motion and it's approved and as long as Attorney Miller can identify the basic terms of the amendment, I mean, we don't have an issue with that while we execute the third amendment. But I mean, just as long as we, have some level of comfort that the third amendment will be executed and has been approved by the board and there's no major issue that will be, will have to be discussed in order to get that signed, then, I mean, then I don't see any problem with that either. I was just thinking
Well,
from the commission's perspective that everyone would want something in writing to kind of formalize what the agreement is.
Should we have to wait for the third amendment in order for us to approve the extension, or can we approve the extension and then approve the third amendment?
Well,
That's what I mean, can we make the approval for the extension now? And then,
as loath as I am to suggest more meetings and
Yeah.
more discussion, it sounds like perhaps the most appropriate way forward is if we can contemplate another special board meeting in a week.
Okay.
And during that week, we can accomplish at least two things. Ms. Calvo can confirm with DCA that they stand by their deal and they stand by their timeline, so that she's prepared to inform the board exactly a more definite commitment as to that piece of the timeline. And at the same time, I will, on Monday, I can send over to Ms. Calvo a draft of a third extension, and so the lawyers can already start talking about making sure that all the I's and T's that only lawyers really worry about, we can get those squared away so that as quick as we can, Ms. Calvo has a timeline that she's comfortable committing to, and we have a document that, subject to y'all's review and consideration, she's seen it, she's generally comfortable with it, and so that we can get signatures on contracts and leases and done as fast as we possibly can.
okay. Ms. Camacho? Mr. Camacho?
So can we just, before we go further on this, can we just have the director discuss how this reflects on our audit report? So that
Discuss
we're all
what?
aware,
Discuss
how
what?
this reflects on our
Reflects on our
audit report.
Oh, yes. I have a question while she's doing that to Ms. Calvo. Did Senlaku and Bobby have any impact on your timeline? Just curious.
No, I mean, as far as I know, like I said, I did get the proposal back in February. Like I said, I can send an email over the weekend and I'll confirm with DCA on Monday whether, because it's really their timeline, not ours, right? I mean, as far as doing that work. But it was, in February when I requested that, sat down with them and
I
went
see.
through.
So the storms really did have no
Right,
impact on-
unless there's some delay in their workload, but I
I see.
think that I'm
Okay.
aware of.
The longest delay was COVID,
Yeah.
shut down everything.
Okay, sorry,
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes, Arlene.
request for third amendment without payment. She's saying the 50,000, but then it says here that the respectfully request that the commission approve the 5-month extension of the building permit deadline, right? And then, what I want to know, 5 months will be December?
it's when the execution of the agreement,
December,
signature
right?
of the wait, yeah,
So
the agreement.
today's,
signing.
July, August, September, October, November, December. That's the, extension of the building permit deadline is December?
Most likely January, I think.
5 months?
No, what?
They're asking for, they're requesting
I thi-
for 5 months extension,
It,
right?
is that from the signing or is that from the end of the first agreement where we had the deadline? When's the deadline? When was the
It would be-
original deadline?
It would be 5 months from the execution of the third amendment authorizing the extension.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
So this would start after the third amendment's been approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
May I just make a comment before we go? Oh, sorry. May I make a comment before going into how it impacts the audit?
Okay.
I think in good faith, I feel that if the board approves this amendment today, the clock will start today. And we will get the agreement and we can sign the agreement, correct? In the amendment, we can identify that the board approved it today and the clock started today.
It ends in December.
And it'll end in December. Rather than wait until we gather the documents and wait until the date that everybody signs, which may be another 2-3 weeks.
So that
we
has
ap-
nothing to do with the audit then?
No,
Because
no,
it's
no, so- yeah,
November,
no,
November.
I'm just saying with, if Northern Market is referring to good faith, correct? They want good faith, we should have good faith. So in good faith, you're saying government delays and you're asking 5 months from the date, 5 months from the date we approve it. So what I'm saying is that in good faith, come Monday morning, instead of you calling and asking, what can be done, maybe Monday morning, you can make the decision Monday morning and your clock starts today. Instead of waiting another 3 weeks for us to sign the document. And then that gives them an extension of another 3 weeks.
Another delay extension.
Yeah, so then instead of
Delay.
instead of December, it will be due in January. But I think I think if legally if we can approve it today, the clock will start today and true and in fact, the extension will expire in December. Now, if we decide to wait until they sign,
Well, I think I think the question that has been raised is, we don't know, nobody today knows exactly what DCA's timeline is. If DCA has picked up a bunch of Defense Department work and GWA work and they're maxed out at the moment, we don't know if DCA's going to say, gosh, we stand by our price, but we can't do it for 8 months.
So,
Then
so
again.
moot. Yeah, we need that information.
Yeah, they're gonna extend again,
Good point.
Okay.
right?
We're still on the audit
others,
and the questionable accounts issue.
yes. So in the audit, because of the outstanding amount, that's where the negative report comes in. And as well as the OPA explaining that based on the amount of liability, they cannot predict a reasonable estimation of our claims. So we have to buckle down on how much they owe us in order for us to actually, what is the term I'm looking for?
Well,
To, no, to reap the benefits of our, Yeah.
on your balance sheet,
Mhm.
the lease is an asset.
Yes,
It
Okay.
has value.
funded liability.
But what the auditors are saying is this, And at the moment, the asset's worth a couple $1 million
No,
at
worth
a
the money.
minimum. But the auditors are saying,
Where is it?
we don't feel comfortable that this asset is really worth what the face value of the asset is.
Mhm.
And we don't know whether it's worth 0 or 10 million. And so we're sort of stuck because auditors operate in a world of as much black and white, as much precision as they possibly can. And this lease is anything but black and white and precise.
So it's not positive. So in the report, it's called an excess deficiency of revenues over expenditures. So even if we have the money in our bank, because we have this as a liability, technically the auditors are saying you don't really have that money because you're bleeding.
Yeah.
You're bleeding from the right.
We don't have that.
Correct. So it's a deficiency. Every year that we don't clear Northern Market, every year in our reports, at the end of the report, you're gonna see that we have a deficiency, and this is the deficiency, the #1 deficiency. Oh, and then I'll just remind everybody that on July 19th, he was here and he took a copy of our meeting packet. So he knows the history of our deficiency, and now he sees how much money we have in the bank, and yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Can we continue with Northern Market? I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
we were supposed to ask for bill, we plan to make or have a meeting next week, and, Northern Market is supposed to have an engagement with, Duenes Camacho Associates and the, on the drainage analysis. So our decision, one of it's maybe predicated on, what the outcome of that project is with
So what are, Director,
With,
can you get
doing
for
his
legal counsel?
Camacho.
and just
and associates.
Get the requirements of what we discussed?
For the amendment?
Yeah. Or for based upon,
So this meeting will have a recess because we need to continue.
Mhm.
Take,
okay, very good.
yes.
If that's where y'all want to go, we need a motion and a vote on
Yeah, because
the recess.
I was gonna mention that if we adjourn.
We're not
and
gonna
ha-
adjourn,
Yeah,
we're going to
we won't
recess.
have, we won't have enough time for the open government,
Yeah.
so we would have to recess today.
Then we can hit it right away.
Good.
Commissioner Weston, Commissioner Weston?
Cruz for making that request for a recess so that we can continue next week, but I wanted to go back to the audit just briefly. Not understanding the accounting, principles and everything and odds completely. So how does, okay, being that you stated the auditors look at this as a negative mark on Guam Ancestral Lands Commission for carrying this outstanding lease for so long. So how does that affect us? Is there a grading level or something that the auditors give to the different government agencies for negative things, so.
How does it negatively affect our operations and how we do? Yeah, well, what does it do? How does it negatively affect us?
It affects us in operations,
Meaning,
meaning that we're not doing our due diligence in collecting the money. That's the mission of our department. The mission of our agency is to return government lands and to pay just compensation to those who cannot receive their lands. And one of our, and part of our mission is that we lease our properties. That's where we're getting the money so that we can pay these people. Unfortunately, we're not doing our fiduciary duties by having an account that's $2 million in arrears.
okay, so.
Yeah, so
As far as
I don't know what our score is. I could ask I could ask VJ what our score is. I can ask him next week and see if they'll give us a score. But basically, that's what our report is saying. That right now, although we have millions
Right.
in our bank account over here, we're bleeding over here.
We cannot collect those.
Yes, because we're supposed to show every year when they do our audit, it's supposed to be positive. We're- You know, our income flow is supposed to be positive. But we're bleeding on the side. So every year since I've been here, that has been the negative impact on our audit report.
Okay, so how does that answer her question with how does it actually affect our operations or yeah, it's a black eye.
Yeah.
But how else does it hamper us from actually moving forward in some way or what?
No, we can continue to move forward, but she's asking, so in the audit, you get a score. You get a score, but I don't know what our score, I can verify with
I guess,
VJ.
Mr. Chairman, the most obvious way the audit concerns manifest themselves is whenever any of you have to appear in front of the legislature.
Mhm.
They're gonna look at that audit report and you're gonna have a robust discussion
Right.
as to what are you doing over there and why does this issue not get
Mm-hmm.
fixed?
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, hey, we're not gonna increase your budget. Or something. You know, I don't know if it's something like that, you know, or hey,
Okay,
less
so-
this or less that.
So Kathy, sorry, the way I understand it, basically, we're scored basically as failing to do our fiduciary responsibilities.
Yes,
basically.
ma'am,
But by
in one
carrying
part,
this
yes.
over year to year to year to year, and there may come a time where we will be scrutinized as far as our actions or
Yes, ma'am.
lack of action.
Especially if this thing totally
Yeah.
fails right now, and it totally fails, then that's permanent. Whereas right now we're trying to do something about it and turn it into a positive, right?
We've already been hammered down at the legislature,
Yeah.
so that was open to, Senator Terlai hammered us on that.
Yeah.
And, the big thing is that we as a commission, this commission has generated revenue for $20 million. And we are an asset to this government, and they're looking at us, and the way they see that is that we bring in high yield. But still, you know, the loss that we're incurring it's gonna even incur even more if we terminate. It's a loss to us, and that's the risk. So, and the outcome of this, like, what's the impact is public accountability. But, you know, we've already been hammered, and to regress back and do such, you know, to terminate would just make us lose that $2 million. And,
So like, you know, the option is, okay, cut our losses and
write
move
it off.
forward, write it off. But that's one option, of course.
And their proposal, I believe that if they do cut it off, all the assets that already have been built, the infrastructure, would remain with us already. And that's a good thing, but I was in favor of our director's recommendation. She's our leader right here. What she stated was to start date today or whatever.
Also,
5 months.
also the language in the Second Amendment, you know, may implicate a lawsuit. You know what I mean? And then we got years in court, stale with that. We've seen other cases where I'm sorry, that's just the nature of it. They brought it up, you know? And we've had some CLTC properties in court for years. Yeah, eventually CLTC won, but it's got stifled for years. That property cannot be touched. This might be the same way if the stipulations of the Second Amendment we didn't follow through with.
We have to look at that. definitely. And section 13.11. But cannot be required to pay fee that claim exists parties good. Agreed contractual limits set forth in the lease. That is done. You better look into that.
They're basically in compliance.
Yes, they're in compliance, they're telling us. Because of the
No.
Second Amendment. Section 13-11 that we cannot pass. Not to exceed the 5,000 agreement that they want to give us.
We have to remember also that, I'm sorry, Ms. Calvo, what was the entity that you came in with? Because you came in later on.
Yeah.
What's the name of your entity again? Was it Northern Market LLC or?
Oh, right. I just meant myself personally. That I personally got involved. I know Carlos was kind of our lead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been the same entity, but as far as my personal involvement.
I thought you guys
on this
weren't involved
project.
until later on and came in with him. I think he's like a smaller stake now or something.
I would have to look back at the history.
Also,
Like,
you were in it right from the very beginning?
right, no, I just meant myself personally that I started attending the meetings and with when Carlos was, I think it was actually during the pandemic, I think, or shortly after.
Okay,
he got
okay.
filed for medical, was
So you
that?
guys came in years later, from what I understand. That's what I understood.
No, well, when I mentioned that, I was just referring to myself personally, not the actual ownership structure or yeah. I was just talking about how I had, was previously, practicing law, and then I actually attended these meetings when Carlos, I believe, was off island for medical
I
reasons.
see.
Yeah.
Well, I was referring to Northern Market LLC.
Right. Yeah, no,
Right,
that's been the entity.
Carlos.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so where are we at?
We're waiting to see motion to.
Yeah, recess.
Pending,
The recess motion needs to specify a date.
Next date would be, is everybody available on August 7th? That's next week, Friday?
oh, wait a minute, August 7th.
Because
What time are you-
it has to be a Friday, right?
That's be a Friday.
That's good. Wednesday, we can go back to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we
I'm
go back
good.
to Wednesday, it'll be August 5th
August 5th.
or,
Not good on me.
I
Okay,
can
so
put an
August
email.
7th.
Wait, August 7th,
Appointment in the morning
Okay.
can,
wait a minute.
August 7th?
Wait, one
Wait,
second,
wait.
because
Okay.
that doesn't look
August
good
7th.
for me. August 7th and
When
medical.
are you good?
I'm good for 7, not
Okay.
the 5th.
Okay, even me,
Not the
my show me.
Okay, I got an 8:30 AM. so-
I'm good on the
No,
7th.
I'm good on the, I'm good on the 7th.
Okay.
Mine's at 8:30 AM.
August 7th, at 2:30 or 2 o'clock?
2:30 is
Yeah,
fine.
I'm good on the 7th.
2:30.
Okay, 2:30 good for everybody? All right.
Yes.
Okay, make the motion and it'll be we will reconvene August 7th at 2:30.
So all we need is a motion to recess. That's it. With no stip.
August 7th.
Yeah.
7th, but
Set the date.
they're gonna get this information to us, right?
And Ms. Calvo understands her assignment. I have an assignment and
Okay,
Okay.
we'll.
Okay, so I'll make a motion then
Okay.
for recess and reconvene on August 7th
2:30
at
PM.
2:30 PM.
Okay, we have a motion to recess and until August 7th, 2:30 PM. Seconded by Commissioner Camacho. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Wait,
I'm sorry, discussion?
Yeah, well, would that be a good sufficient time for Ms. Calvo to? would
Yes,
that be okay?
absolutely. I will have the discussion with DCA on Monday morning or on Monday. And then I can just provide a short written
Okay.
report to the board, to the
Okay, very
commission
good.
in advance.
Any other discussion? No? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
To adjourn.
No nays. Okay, so Sujus Masu, Ms. Calvo for coming in.
Thank you all for your time.
Sujus Masi, okay,
Yeah.
Commissioners. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move down to,
adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
no, we're gonna
else?
end, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so you have to
Oh yeah, so
recess.
basically, there's no, what do we have?
No,
Oh, that's
no,
it. So we're not gonna adjourn, we're gonna recess.
Recess
And the
until-
time right now is, what's our time for recess? Four
Oh, no,
twenty?
you don't need that, but it's recent.
Yeah, four
What's the recess?
26
Yeah,
PM, recess
4:26.
until August 7th, 2:30 PM.
Mr. Chairman, just so you understand what I think my goal is,
Yes,
what I'm gonna tell Ms. Calvo on Monday is,
Yes, go ahead.
what I'm gonna tell her on Monday
It's a-
is.
Yeah.
Talk to DCA,
Mhm.
go